Am I allowed to read your note card?
That's from Trish. Go ahead. All right, we're recording. Okay, so welcome to Threads of Wisdom, week. What week is this? 6. Wait, what does that say? 8.
8 Threads of Wisdom, Threefold Return.
Wow, really? Week 8? That's not right. Well.
Was it Threefold Return? Because I feel like there wouldn't be another Threefold anything else.
It's Threefold Return. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, it's week 8.
Wow.
I bet we could go through the calendar and be like, wow, it is week 8.
It's probably. So I'm going to do our regular introduction so you guys are going to be sick and tired of it. Again, I'm Lola Stardust from Children of the Crossroads, ATC in Spokane, Washington. We have Zeta sitting next to me.
Hello.
She is our 2nd degree, our scribe of our coven. And we've got Lysander right there. We got some of the coven here tonight. He is our 1st degree. And, of course, Morrigan is online with us. She is my maiden and the old lady in the crowd.
That's right. Don't you guys forget that.
And then, of course, my husband's off in the kitchen.
Kitchening
because he made some great stew.
It's amazing.
So, Threads of Wisdom. It was created by the Golden Thread Grove in Idaho. Hey, Raven. Hi, welcome. I'm letting you know we're recording. So if you don't want to be on camera, that's up to you. Or you can be on camera. We are just starting. All right. So the Threads of Wisdom was created by the Golden Thread Grove in Idaho. It is a teaching tool for your year in a day, pagan basics. Each week that you attend, you will receive an image of the topic we discussed.
An
image. And Golden Thread Grove has requested that these images not be distributed to anyone that has not participated in a discussion on a particular topic. And at the end of the year, you will have 52 cards that can also be used as a divination tool. Ooh. Trish made these for me and laminated them, and I love her for it. Trish, the purse warden for ATC, and I think she's the junior teacher. Teaches junior ritual at the school. All right, let's get started. Today's topic is Threefold Return. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put the image up. I'm going to have y'all take a look. Let's see if I can do this, because every time, because I am not tech savvy like a bunch of other people are. Wow. See, it has everything up but the picture. It just doesn't make it. Oh, there. It's right there. Can you all see that? Yes, no, maybe so. Morgan, yeah. You can see it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. Oh, Marcus, is that you?
Yeah, I haven't got my studio finished yet. I'm waiting on a computer. It's back ordered, but I got audio anyway.
You got the microphone.
Marcus has a voice.
Yes, I do.
Yay, a voice to the name.
A voice to the name. All right, let's take a look at this picture. And I want you all to tell me what kind of feelings does this evoke? What do you think this means? Just, it's free for all. What do you think?
Well, that spiral in that particular position is also an asatru, symbolic to the Lady Freya, and also in Celtic tradition to creation.
Well, there you go.
I like that it has like the big one and then the 3, so it's like this ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
The big threefold and then the little one. So always keep in mind that explore the ripples.
Spirally. Spirally. That's all I got to say. No.
The little things are the important things.
Yeah.
That we forget.
I know.
We forget to enjoy the small things in life.
Yeah. But what do you think it has to do with threefold? I mean, there's the three spirals.
To me, it's like ripples in the water.
You see what?
Ripples in the water.
Yeah.
Yep. And if you think about it, the way that it is, they are literally folded in on each other. Because the way the spiral is, it is folded in.
Well, to me, where they all meet in the middle can be symbolic of the self and the energies in every direction that you put out.
Yep.
And coming back to you.
Absolutely. You hit one part of the spiral and it vibrates. It's like the web we were talking about. Or the water ripples. It affects. What we do affects. It ripples out. Marcus, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, the outer barrier of that picture around the spirals, it looks a lot like a barrier that it can reflect back on.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's a good one. And remember, there are no right or wrong answers. Everyone's right. So there are right answers. You're all right.
Is that right?
It's all right. I like the colors too. Just, purple and black. That's all I'm going to add. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing. My dogs are just whining like
They're begging for stew.
Give me food.
Okay. So, what is the threefold law? What do you guys think that is? What is it? Let me know what you know it is. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the threefold law, basically what we put out comes back to us threefold karmically.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to be conscious of the type of energy that we put out.
So, and that's positive and negative. Yeah. Anyone else? I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm sorry I'm eating on camera, but multitasking, I gotta eat. And my dogs are whining for food. Stop it, puppies.
Yeah, like you said, it's positive or negative either way.
Yeah.
It's like a reflection that picks up, it magnifies and picks up. In my, I was trained by Carlos Castaneda in Toltec shamanism, and they also have the same belief, except it can also be greater in that belief. It can be ninefold even, and depending a lot on the type of intention that's projected. And, we're speaking energetically, but it can also be physically too.
Oh, yeah.
But it can be swing either way depending on what you send out. I'm speaking on the Toltec shamanic beliefs.
Yeah.
And it's something that the ancient lineage that I'm part of, the ancient ones, they found a way to sidestep it, in order to, it's like shields that they can put up, but only the more adept ones could do it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of a universal law too. We just call it different things. I mean, but it's kind of like the golden rule. What you put out comes back to you. Treat people good, you'll be treated well. You reap what you sow. There's all kinds of sayings that go along with this.
I liked what Marcus put in about the barrier, and is that the barrier protecting you from the other things coming from the outside in, or is it the barrier that will echo the other stuff you send out and then magnify it and bring it back to you? I think that's a really interesting thing to bring into, because the card symbolism has that, and you see the little the the triquetras.
Yeah,
Triscales.
I could never say that.
Triscales. So it's that like echo within there already. I just thought it was really interesting, and I like that with the threefold, ninefold,
Sevenfold,
threefold, sevenfold, ninefold more.
Yep, we studied that. Welcome, Seeker. Welcome, Daniel. I'm putting the picture back up. You guys can take a look. If you want to say what you see in this, what kind of feelings you get from this, what does this mean to you?
No, I'm just looking right now. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, you don't have to. You're not required to speak. You can but you can pipe in anytime you want.
I think so.
Well, it just reminds us to be careful what we put out, whether it be good or for ill. But normally, us witches should not be doing anything for ill, anyways, considering that the other aspect of the laws that we follow is in harm you none, do what you will. But I think that it just reminds you to be very careful what you wish for, two, what kind of energy you're putting out. It also reminds you to kind of treat others the way you want to be treated, because if you're angry and grumpy and treating everyone like a douchebag, then you're going to get douchebags surrounding you constantly. You're going to be wondering why you're surrounded by a bunch of assholes. You know what I mean? So I think it reminds you that not just magically, but in life in general, to put out what you want to come back to you.
Yep. I don't know, Derek, what were you saying?
Well, if you look at it, the boundary almost is like the world around you, and you're in the center there, and your actions and your intent and everything you're putting out are the large spirals. They're what you have control over. And it might take a lot of effort to put that stuff out, but sneaking in on all three sides, you've got 3 times as much coming right back at you. It's kind of like attracts like.
Like attracts like. Yep. Absolutely. I'm going to stop sharing. Sharing is caring. All right. So karma is threefold. I've gotten the notes here to trigger some discussion. Sometimes I don't know what the notes are, because these are notes that were taken over the years, and I got oneness, duality, reconciliation. I don't know what oneness. Well, we're all one. I'm trying to figure out what that
web.
The web.
All the connections lead back to the center. It's all one. You're connected to everything else. You are, what you do affects others. What others do affects you.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of the spiral whirlpool effect. There are many whirlpools on the outside, but it all lead into the bigger, tangible middle whirlpool.
Yeah.
So even though the smaller eddies may affect it, it's still the greater intent is going to be the overriding. So if you're positive with it, better things are going to happen. If you're negative with it, negative things are going to happen. And the ancillary things that are adjacent to it are only amplified by what you're putting out.
So there should be accountability, like which I like about our craft, because it does teach us accountability. And I think that when we look at what we put out, so good example, in my 20s, I surrounded myself with a lot of toxic people. And because we were doing the same toxic things. And I would just attract these toxic energies and toxic things. And I never took responsibility that, well, maybe I shouldn't be hanging out with people who are thieves and drug addicts, because I was one of those for a while, but I never took responsibility for that. It was everybody else's fault. And this comes up a lot in Threads of Wisdom and what we teach, is the accountability factor of it. It's the shadow work.
What did I contribute to the situation?
What did I contribute to the situation? How? And that should be the first question we ask, because
Always.
because even if you know, okay, so even if you just, because there are those times when you're like, look, I did everything I thought I was supposed to. I thought I put out the good energy. I thought I did it, and then it just keeps that bad. And so you've somewhere along the way, your idea of what good energy is, maybe you may be misinformed on what that is. And so that should be the first question you ask, is what did I do to contribute to this? What kind of energy did I put out into the universe? And that's a really tough question for a lot of people to ask themselves, right? Any feedback on that? The accountability for the threefold law, would you agree that that's a huge part of it? Yeah.
I would argue that it's important not to blame yourself if you're victimized by someone else's actions. But if there's a pattern of victimization, you do have to look at the biggest thing that you can do, which is address your part in things.
What part did you play? Because a lot of times it takes two to tango.
Well, and I think it's so easy to look at what the other person's doing, and we
Always.
oftentimes lose sight of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's easy to point the finger and blame. It's more difficult to take the responsibility and say, okay, what was my part in this?
Do you guys have a hard time asking what part you played? Is that still hard for a lot of us?
Not for me. It's like there's times when everybody gets caught up in a drama or a scenario, and you get caught in the moment. But even at that, I always step back and take a look at, like, okay, where am I contributing to this? You know.
Taylor Swift's new CD. Maybe I'm the problem.
Yeah. Well, she's taking accountability, but that comes with, but think about it, that's really, it's silly, but it makes sense because the biggest complaint I had about Taylor Swift's music was her writing about her ex-boyfriends, right? But if I had songwriting skills when I was her age, I'd be doing the same thing.
Yep.
I would be writing about these, because that's all I knew at the time. These relationships, they weren't working out. It was their fault. I blah, blah, blah. But as we get older, we start to look back and go, yeah, I played a big part in that toxic relationship, or I played a bit. Now, this isn't discounting anyone who's been in abusive relationships. That's a whole different side.
It can be.
Well, it can be if that's what
you're in multiple abusive relationships, though. You still have to sit down and go,
why am I attracted to this?
We're all flawed, and maybe I have a flaw here. What can I do to remove myself from these situations in the future?
Yeah, we tend to, and here's a note on here. It says science is even proving that an attitude, intent, or energy forms a magnet that draws more of the same to you. So the like attracts like.
Mm-hmm.
If science is proven that this is not just witchy stuff. This is scientific, yo.
Well, like we say, magic is just science unexplained.
Yeah, magic is science unexplained, right? Is that right? Magic is science unexplained. Yeah. Sometimes I get it backwards. Anyone have anything to add to that about the?
Yeah, that's called sympathetic resonance.
Yes.
And it's like where you take two tuning forks and you strike one and just have the other one near it. It'll start, oscillating at the same frequencies.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with people. When you're around people that, are always complaining or, doing bad things, you tend to absorb their energies, their frequency, and it can actually change yours and bring yours down, to the same level.
I tell my husband when he's had a bad day at work, and he has a right to come home and say, work sucked. but he's got such a strong presence when he walks in. It literally sucks the fun out of the room because he's so. It doesn't happen all the time, but when he's had a really bad day, all he has to do is walk in that front door, and we all go, ugh, like,
it makes me think of there's a good and a bad side to what we call the echo chambers of what we're in, because sometimes it's good because it props you up and it makes you feel better, but other times it's bad, and this is the dark side, sort of the shadow side of it, because now you're on the defensive all the time. You're looking for all the negative, and because you're constantly feeding yourself this loop.
Well, it's the projection of what you're feeling. You see in others when you're really seeing it in yourself.
Yes.
The mirror.
Yes, and the echo chambers that social media,
Yeah.
they enable us to not take personal responsibility.
Yeah. So, does anyone have an example of threefold that really you were just like, good or bad, that you were just like, wow, yeah, there goes threefold, and perfect example. Anyone? Bueller? Do we have more people coming in? Am I just Zan?
Was that news?
Welcome, Zan. We're talking about the threefold law, and feel free to use typing in the chat or voice, or you can just sit and listen. Anyone have any good examples of threefold?
I have noticed over the years that when I do something to help someone else financially, energetically, that tends to come back to me, and it comes back stronger. And it may not manifest, the timeline is different because on the energetic planes like that, time doesn't really exist. And so when it comes back to us, it's hard to say, but sometimes it is almost instant.
Yeah.
A good example of that is something that Lola and I experienced today. Lola often buys our neighbor coffee when she goes to the coffee stand, just being nice and being a good neighbor and friendly. So while we were at the coffee stand grabbing our beverages, our neighbor pulled up on the other side and ended up buying our coffee.
She bought all our coffee for us, for me and my husband and the kids. And it was just so cool because it's like, and it was never expected, we
were surprised when we went to pay for it. They're like, no, it's already been taken care of. And we're like, okay, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to our neighbor for doing that for us. But, we didn't expect it. We were honored to receive it, but it was a reminder that when we put good out there, that it comes back.
Well, also it's, and I don't know, was it us that was talking about tallying, people who tally the good deeds?
We talked about last night in our interview with Cloud.
Yes, we were talking about if your intent is true and you're not doing it to just what I mean, like have tallying. You're tallying like, well, I did this for you and I did this, so you owe me to. You're abusing the way it works. That's not how it works. That's not how it works.
You're not really doing it for the other person. You're doing it for yourself, and it's like you're doing it for selfish reasons.
Yes, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, and the threefold law and karma. The universe knows. The universe and deities, whatever you believe in. I often say universe to be kind of the blanket statement for what we believe in, because a lot of us worship different deities, or you believe in that universal energy or whatever. But they know, the universe knows when you don't have good intent and you're just doing it for selfish reasons. So if you're constantly, because I know people who say, well, I always help so-and-so, I give them my clothes that I don't wear anymore, or I buy them food, and they never do anything for me, and I never get anything back. And it's like, well, right there, what you just said is why you're not getting it back. Right. Because you're doing it with an expectation.
Right.
Yep. And that's not how it works. Right. Do it from the kindness of your heart. Like, you just really want to just be kind and do stuff. Don't sit there and have an expectation. And I think might be carried over from from Christianity, because we did believe that there was this God that was keeping score, you know, like tallying everything we did so we could get into heaven. That I kind of think that if you were brought up in a Christian home, that kind of carries with us. You were never brought up in a Christian home.
No, I was. I just put them all in order.
Oh, you put them all. Oh, I thought you said I never had a problem. I go, I don't think you were brought up in a Christian home. Yeah, thank you.
I went to a Lutheran school for a while, so there was some.
There's that association of keeping score.
The bean counter, the abacus is out there like, oh, they did this good.
Yeah.
Even to go to some of the Egyptian mythology with the idea that your heart's going to be weighed against the ostrich feather.
Yeah, that's ma'at.
Yeah, I think that's really more of your heart. How does your heart, how do you feel?
Feel, not your
down,
actual.
Like, how do you actually feel? Do you really feel you were a good person, or are you just that person who's like, I'm a good person? Because let me tell you,
what I've done.
If you have to say, if you start your thing with, I'm a good person,
yeah,
a lot of people become really skeptical real quick.
If you have to announce it a lot, you may not, you know, you might be a redneck. No, but any thoughts? Any thoughts on that?
I definitely agree with that, because when people do stuff, they want to show everyone that they're giving money. It has to come from the heart.
Yeah.
You really feel it for the intention for the threefold law to react, because it really has to come from within in the heart. Because I've experienced that myself.
Yeah, and it's hard to explain that to people. And another one that I love about karma or threefold is when I hear people say, God, I know this person and they just do all these bad things and nothing bad ever happens to them. Well, are you with them 24/7? Like, you don't know when karma's going to kick their ass. But just take comfort that it will. You may not be there to, now, if you're there to witness it, that's just a special little attitude.
Also, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Like, you see, especially, again, we'll go back to social media and the Pinterest effect, or like the Instagram effect, where people are showing their highlight reel.
Yes.
You don't know what's actually going on when the camera's off.
Yep. Stop comparing yourself to what a slice of an Instagram picture or a Twitter thing is, because
I'm trying to remember what it was, but stop comparing your something to someone's highlight reel.
Your highlight reel.
Your highlight reel. Yeah.
And comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy. I used that on my therapist today, and he was so impressed. I said, well, I can't take credit for it. I was like, my cousin sister told me that, and she got that from someone else, so I don't know where it's from, but it's a great saying. It sounds like it is. So, yeah, it's, and again, you don't get it. I think it was Marcus that said the timeline, don't expect instant gratification if you do something out of the kindness of your heart, there is an instant gratification. It feels good to help someone. But threefold and karma, it's going to come when it just kind of decides it's ready to get you. It could be in another lifetime.
Accept it, don't expect it.
Yeah, just accept that it happens, but don't expect it. I know for me and my husband, we have been very, very blessed. We have, you know, our pasts, did not make the best decisions in our life when it comes to responsibility, but we're now responsible, but we struggled quite a bit, and we have had so many friends and family help us out, and I'd like to think it's because we put something good out there. You know, I'd like to think that when you get that kind of help that gets you from the bottom of the gutter and brings you up, I'm hoping that people sense that we're putting some good energy out there. So we're living proof of it. We've had a lot of people help us.
Well, is there a difference of wanting to help you and the obligation to help?
Yeah,
It's interesting. The northern traditions had a very good explanation for this entire thing. So, at the basis of all interaction is the idea of reciprocity. And this is just that a gift requires a gift in return. This is something we all kind of know as a fairness sort of thing.
An energy exchange.
But nobody lives there, or nobody stays where they're going to give to their attention or time or effort to someone who doesn't return it unless they want to feel better than that person for some reason.
Yeah.
So, and that's not a good way to be. But you move on, you either move on to other people or other interactions until you get what we call hospitality, which is reciprocity in a bigger sense. You still kind of keep track, but you're not counting it. It's just that you're both kind of like, you might find a couple that you like to go and have dinner with, and you'll host one week and they host another, and it just kind of goes back and forth and you don't really keep track.
Yeah.
And then the ultimate form and the highest ideal of the Northern people was something they called frith, which is where the word friendship comes from. But it was the idea that you just take care of each other. It's almost that chosen family state where you just take care of each other and you don't keep track.
Yeah. It's kind of like
give because the need is there.
Because you want to.
It's the 4 people in this room right now where our families, we don't sit there and go, well, you guys did and if that does happen, it's not because we think they're tallying. It's because we might be going, you know what, they've done a lot of hosting dinners lately, and I'll say, you know what, you guys come over, we'll feed you. But that has nothing to do with I'm keeping track of everything, and so are you. Because half the time it's like, oh, okay, whatever, I didn't even realize. But and you get it, you get the payback. Quote
along
unquote. Those
steps is kind of where the 3-fold, 7-fold, 9-fold comes from.
Yeah.
So obviously there's much more reward in having frith with many people, because then you have that easy trust and interaction where you give to each other freely and you're not worried about being paid back.
Yeah. And again, it could be previous friendships, it could be a previous life that you did things, but it does come back to you eventually. You will get what you put out there. Sometimes you gotta, instead of waiting for it, you don't want to sit there and wait.
It's an interesting concept, and I just kind of want to put this out there because the concept of karma has come up, and I have not done enough research to actually pinpoint exactly what it is, but I do understand that what we in the West call karma is not the same as what it is in the Eastern philosophies and religions on what karma is.
Yep.
And neither one is necessarily incorrect.
No, it's been adapted.
It's been adapted.
Yeah.
We think too small, and we always remove, when it comes to threefold, we tend to forget about the cycle that we all kind of acknowledge of life, death, and rebirth. But at the same time, if I'm constantly giving and helping my community, I might never see a benefit. But when I die, I bet you they come together and help my wife and children.
That's a really good point, too. It's a legacy that we leave. Yes. Yeah, we leave a legacy. Also,
I haven't seen her in so long. I want to mash her.
Seeker, do you got a child?
Her so tight.
Your mic's on, hun. Did you want to say something?
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. My daughter called. I'm sorry.
No apologies.
No. Children are great.
No, I just didn't know if you were trying to say something and we were interrupting, or we do that. Does anyone have anything to say about this? What they feel about it? Does it speak to you? Do you worry about it? Do you worry about maybe some of the shit you did in your past and it hasn't come up yet? I do that.
Don't we all? I mean, that is literally the seed of anxiety. I have said this once.
I wasn't I've always been a nice person, but I made some choices in my past, and I pissed off some people, and I did take accountability for it though, and that was called the 12 steps. That was a huge part of my recovery, and I really believe that the 12 steps were based on shadow work, because when you get to step 9 and you got to make amends with people you wronged, woo, that is some serious shadow work and serious accountability, because it doesn't mean they're going to forgive you, or they might be waiting for that bad to happen, like the people I wronged in my past. They might be going, I hope Lola gets hers. I hope they're not doing that, but I don't know. And maybe something's gonna, but I can't be afraid of a falling house all the time. And I also can't be wondering when that money's gonna come in, because I helped. I gotta live my life. I just gotta, and if shit happens, you deal with it then. Like, who did I piss off in a past life? Because this keeps happening. Or sometimes it's just bad luck. It's just bad luck. Your pipes keep freezing. I'm thinking of Morrigan. You've had so many problems with your pipe. Actually, a lot of people are having problems with bathroom pipes, sewers, and sometimes that's just
if only
old
we
homes.
had like a Mercury retrograde to blame on plumbing.
Yes, bad plumbing is Mercury retrograde. That's what it is. Does anyone have anything they want to add to this? So our coven isn't the only one doing all the talking, because we easily could.
Yeah, one thing that I was taught too, first of all, as far as when something comes back to you on the timeline, a lot of times things will come back to you, good or bad, and you may not even know it. It may, like you said, it could be like a string of bad luck. It could be, an illness or something. You may not actually realize what's taking place. But another thing that I was taught is that the threefold law is not necessarily just for people. I mean, individuals. It can happen to groups. It can happen to societies. And that's, a much bigger picture. But it pretty much applies the same thing. If you got a lot of like-minded people doing the same thing, good or bad, then it comes back to all of them, not just one.
That is very, very true, and I've actually witnessed that kind of happen to groups before, and
I feel like we're kind of witnessing one right now.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah.
I'm leaving that where it is.
Yeah. So I feel that it's hard sometimes, because there's intent, and sometimes we've talked about this with it was a few weeks ago, one of our conversations. Oh my God, do harm none, do as you will, intentionally, because we unintentionally might hurt people. We don't realize we're hurting them.
It kind of comes down to, like, I have just harmed a bunch of bacteria by scratching my arm,
Yeah.
It has to be on a practical level.
Yes, I mean, if you walk up to someone and kick them, you really can't, unless
you can't back out of that.
Yeah, you can't back out. That was done with intent, okay? If you say something and you really, because this is my problem, is I just verbal diarrhea sometimes, and word vomit, and I sometimes inadvertently say something that offends someone, and it's not that I meant that. I didn't mean to hurt that person. But there's a responsibility that falls on that person too. They need to let me know that, hey, you know what you said, and then we can have a conversation. But if they don't let me know, and they think that I know every time I'm talking that I'm hurting, it's just not going to work. That's not going to work.
I've had a couple of instances where it's something like that, and I'm like, and then I have to take a step back and go, but if I don't let them know that what they're doing bothers me, then that's really on me.
That's on you. Yeah.
It's not on them, because I've never said that, hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
Hey, here's my boundary, or hey, because if I never let that be known, they don't know it hurts me or hurts my feelings, or even just kind of irritates me in the minor way.
Yeah. And that it is. There's the taking responsibility. You can sit there and say, wow, Lola said something that really offended me last week during Threads of Wisdom, and I just can't believe she's saying this, and blah, 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 and it just really bothers me. Well, did you tell her? Well, no, she should know. Well, that's, no, I mean, it's, again, intent. I'm not intending to offend, but trust me, I have offended.
Yeah.
Because I have just a different sense of humor sometimes, and it's a little bawdy and kind of raunchy, and some people just don't. It's like, that's not funny. Some people have told me that, and I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry. I will keep that in mind when I'm with you.
There are also, to go with the comedy level, there are plenty of well-known, very popular comedians that don't resonate with me, but that doesn't mean they're not funny.
Yeah.
They just don't resonate with me.
And so again, there's that kind of unintention hurting someone's feelings. I think we're adult where we can figure out that does happen. We've all been guilty of that. And it's an unintentional, maybe hurt someone. They maybe misunderstood you. Maybe they just don't get your humor.
But to go with the threefold law, maybe then you'll see it later reflected back on you where you can go, oh, now I see where they're coming from.
Yes. And again, it's that reflection on, okay, this is the third time that someone completely different has said, Lola, what you said kind of offended me. Well, maybe I need to start rethinking my material. Like, maybe I'm not as funny as I think I am. I am, though. Anyway, even funnier.
In a lot of cases, people just take themselves too serious, and they take life too serious. It's not always just about them. So
exactly, and we talk about that a lot. Our coven is very much known. We love mirth.
Don't take life so seriously. But don't. Is it permanent?
Exactly, and we know we're serious about our studies and our magic, but we have a lot of fun with it because witchcraft should be fun. It should be laughter and joyous. We're supposed to celebrate this life and
reverence.
Mirth and reverence. In our old coven, I don't know if you remember, Daniel, we had remember the rubber toad?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's got to be on the altar.
Yep, we had a rubber toad on our altar, and I remember I didn't notice it right away, but then I did. I'm like, what is this? And it's because sometimes you make mistakes. You lose track of, I've looked in the south and summoned air accidentally, or I just completely forgot how to cast a circle. And, and the rubber toad was there to remind us, it's okay. Don't take yourself too seriously. But I digress. All right. So I'm going to wrap this up. We're going to do this part.
If you got this card in divination.
So you go and you visit your local tarot reader and you're like, oh, Lady Zimbabwe. I don't know. I don't know where. I was trying to think of a Z name.
Country?
I don't know. Oh, Lady Merlina.
Merlina.
I don't know. I need just a one-card draw.
Zoya.
That Zoya. Yes, Lady Zoya. That's what I was trying to think. Like Zola, Zoya, Merlina. It's supposed to be like Merlin. I want to know just one card drawing that represents me right now today. And you got this card. You got the threefold. What do you think that would mean for you right now today?
Look beyond the initial. Look at what the undercurrent is.
Explore the ripples.
Explore the ripples. Look at the undercurrent. What else?
Right now, behave yourself in March.
Behave yourself in March.
See, where are the Ides of March?
The Ides of March. What?
It's the third month.
The third month. Yes. What else, you guys? What do you think if you got this?
You're not supposed to behave yourself on the Ides. What are you talking about?
To me, that would be like a reminder to pay attention to my intentions and actions.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
How about you're being called to look at the circumstances of your life, both positive and negative, as reflections? Be aware of your words, your thoughts, your actions. Anyone else?
I was actually just about to say being aware of my thoughts, as thought form can create reality. So
See, I am the amazing Zola. Not Lola, Zola.
I was like, you're Lola.
I know. You missed the whole Z thing we were doing. I read your mind, Raven. I'm in your head.
Here's your card.
Be scared.
Well, to go off of that, a lot of times we're our own worst enemies. And, like Raven was saying, it's like you've got to watch your thought forms. And how do you talk to yourself on a daily basis?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got to start manifesting that stuff if you continue talking negative to yourself.
Yeah. That's a good one. I like it.
He's looking at you.
I don't know why the husband and wife are looking at each other and doing a secret language. I don't know what's going on.
I do have a question before you close out.
Sure.
In regards to the threefold law, would an action like a binding or psychic self-defense, be a negative thing? Or I've asked that question from a lot of people. I've never got a good answer.
Well, now you put pressure on us. Yes and no. And yes.
No, because the answer is yes, because it's always both.
It's
the question is either or, the answer is both.
There you go. There. Now you put a lot of pressure on us. Now we gotta outshine these other people that you're not getting a good answer. I think binding and psychic defense again is the intent.
It's the intent.
It's the intent.
I feel like psychic defense, if it is actually psychic defense, that would be a good intention, because you are also something that is not to be harmed. Do no harm also applies to yourself.
To yourself.
If you're binding something, you have to be very sure about the ripples. Explore the ripples.
What will this do? Kind of like a chess game.
And sometimes with that, the answer is yes, it might have some sort of harm, but you're willing to accept that responsibility.
What she said.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense.
She's our encyclopedia. She's our witch encyclopedia. She's always got the. I defer to her.
Even my teacher, Castaneda, he when I ask a question like that, he just look at me and start laughing. So I don't think he knew the answer either.
Go ahead, Lysander.
I would caution everybody to remember that anything you bind, you're binding to yourself.
Yeah.
This is true.
It's not going to go away. You're bringing it closer to you.
You're taking on a knapsack. Mm-hmm. You're taking on a burden.
You better have a really good, serious reason for binding, and because it works.
Yeah.
But it works really good to the point where, again, it's a chess game. What are the ripple effects? You got to know 3 or 4 moves ahead of you to see what that's going to do. Our actions and our words have consequences. Just be aware of that.
I feel bad. She has a great name.
I like to think that I usually won't bother with the binding one, because like you guys said, it does bind it to you. And yes, sometimes keeping your enemies closer is a kind of a good thing to have. But I think the binding is more of a controlling of someone or their will. I let karma deal with that. Would rather put up a defensive barrier around myself, my house, my family, whatever, and protect ourselves, protect us, and then let karma deal with whatever ill intentions or whatever is going on with that person that you feel the need to bind. That's the way I always think about it and advise people if they ask.
That's a wonderful answer too, Daniel, because we do have the ability to protect ourselves, and we can just let the cards fall where they need to fall for that person. Because my favorite saying is someone where you just know that they are up to no good, and you just want to you just want to call them on it right then and there. But they always provide enough rope to hang themselves. They really do. And again, you may not be there when and I'm not talking about literally hanging themselves. I'm not. But they always, the foot and mouth syndrome, the karma, we may not be there when it happens, but it happens.
Well, and often enough, the binding or the hexing / cursing side of things is kind of the lazy way out. There's often a way that you can always retool it to bring it back another way. It's like what was the one that was the passive aggressive witch? You don't curse people, you just bless everyone else around them.
Yeah. I like that.
I also think about it as that person, whatever they're doing that makes you think that you might have to bind them. What if those actions are being allowed to be done by the gods, the powers that be, or whatever, to teach them a lesson, and by binding them, it is robbing them of that lesson?
That is so true, because I was going to say, there's a reason why we do what we do, and hopefully we learn a valuable lesson from those things. And you don't want to, I would hate for someone to have interfered with the hard lessons I had to learn, because we wouldn't be who we are today. So yeah, I like that. I agree with that. I think that sometimes we can't play God, and we just got to let them.
Arguably, the only moral use of binding is probably against towards a very self-destructive child of your own who is not an adult, and it needs to be out of love.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other moral use of it, or use that's not just going to backfire on you.
Yeah. You just got to be careful with that stuff. But I think everyone is given wonderful answers and different angles and different ways, perspectives to look at it. So I put the card, the image in the chat. If you cannot download it, please let me know and put your email address in the chat so I can email you the image. And next week, we'll be talking about the witch's pyramid. And I'm really glad, because this is one, when we were talking to Thorne about, sometimes you need to take a refresher course because they ask you about this. This is what I thought of. I was like, I thought, the witch's pyramid. It's like, I know what it is, but I can't explain it. It's just, I don't know.
Do we get to use the really cool paper model? I love the paper model.
It's right there. Yeah. So was everyone able to download the image, or do you need me to email it to you? Anyone?
I was able to download this one.
You got it there? Oh, good.
For some reason.
Please.
You want me to email it to you, Raven?
For some reason, I can't get it either.
So.
Yeah, I need to.
And so Morrigan, Marcus, and Raven. And Raven at your Wiccan seminary?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, you guys. Well, thank you for joining us. And this was an awesome discussion. You guys always, I love these threads of wisdom, threads of wisdom. I've had a little bit of wine. We did witches and wine right before this. I love these threads of wisdom discussions because I always learn something awesome. And yeah. So thank you guys. Next week, normal time, 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. And same meeting chat. So we'll see you guys next week, and I will get these images sent out to you guys at dinner.
Same witch time.
Same witch channel.
Thank you, Lola.
Guys.
This was awesome.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you were here. It's so good to see you, Raven.
You too.
I will see you guys later.
Alrighty.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.